Please, just do it quickly, the millionairess whispered, her voice barely audible over the soft hum of the underground garage's fluorescent lights. Her words trembled, carrying a weight of urgency that immediately made his pulse quicken. He barely recognized the person standing there, her golden hair falling loosely over her shoulders, usually perfectly styled and commanding attention wherever she went. Now strands clung to her face as if weighed down by panic, her perfectly tailored silk blouse crumpled from frantic movement. Her eyes, wide and desperate, were fixed on him with an intensity that seemed almost imploring, like a silent cry begging for trust. The single father froze, caught between instinct and disbelief. He had not expected this. Not here. Not like this. He had come to this quiet corner of the city, thinking it would be another mundane evening, another small job to earn a little extra for his daughter's school supplies, maybe a quiet dinner at home afterward. His life had been nothing spectacular, and he liked it that way, predictable, manageable, safe. Yet now, standing mere feet from a woman whose wealth could buy half the city, he realized how fragile safety truly was. She looked around quickly, almost panicked, and he could see why. The garage, dimly lit and echoing with distant footsteps, felt suddenly claustrophobic. Shadows pooled along the corners, stretching unnaturally, as if watching them, waiting. A car door slammed somewhere above, causing her to flinch violently, and her voice, barely a whisper, sliced through the cold air again. Please, just do it quickly. He swallowed, uncertain whether he was ready for whatever it meant. His life had never demanded heroics. He was a man used to small, simple acts, fixing a leaky faucet, patching a fence, cooking dinner while listening to the laughter of his daughter. Yet here she was, this woman whose world was so impossibly different from his own, looking at him with that raw, unguarded fear, and suddenly he knew he could not turn away. The single father took a deep breath, his chest tight, and his hands flexed unconsciously at his sides. He could feel the faint scratch of stubble on his jaw, the nervous sweat beginning to form along his temples. His life had trained him for responsibility, for protecting the ones he loved, for acting when hesitation could cost everything. He had no idea what he was about to do, but he knew, instinctively, that standing still was not an option. Are you okay? He asked, voice low, careful not to startle her further. His words hung in the air like a promise, though he was unsure whether he could keep it. She didn't answer, only shaking her head slightly, her eyes darting toward a far corner of the garage where shadows seemed to coalesce into shapes that didn't belong. A sudden metallic click echoed somewhere nearby, and the millionairess's grip tightened on the envelope she held. It wasn't just any envelope. It was thick, weighty, and as pristine as the day it had been sealed. Whatever was inside was important enough to terrify her to this degree. He instinctively stepped closer, the chill of the concrete floor seeping through his worn shoes. He could feel the subtle tremor in his own hands, and he tried to steady himself, reminding himself of the reasons he had chosen to help people all his life, no matter the scale. His life had been small, yes, but small acts of courage mattered, he knew that. He remembered his daughter's face, the way she looked at him as if he were her entire world. That thought, sharp and piercing, grounded him. If he could protect her, he could protect anyone who needed it. Listen to me, he said, keeping his voice calm and deliberate, though his heart raced. Whatever's happening, whatever you're afraid of, I can help. But I need to know what you need me to do. Her gaze locked onto his, a mixture of desperation, fear, and incredulity. She opened her mouth, as if to speak, then closed it again, shaking her head. Finally, after a long pause that seemed like an eternity, she muttered, I can't explain. Just follow my instructions. Please. The single father nodded slowly, a determination settling into his chest. He didn't need to understand everything. He didn't need the full story. He only needed to act. The world had a way of forcing decisions upon you, and this was one of those moments where hesitation could cost someone dearly. He reached for his jacket, pulling it off slowly, deliberately, as if removing a layer of protection from himself in preparation for what was to come. The gesture was instinctive, a shield against the cold, and, perhaps more importantly, a shield for her. Her eyes widened slightly as she realized what he had done. There was a subtle shift in her posture, an almost imperceptible relaxation, as if the simple act of wrapping someone else's warmth around her could provide a fragile sense of security amidst the chaos. She didn't speak, but her shoulders, once taut and rigid, softened just a fraction. Every step they took toward the exit of the garage was deliberate, careful, measured. He led her through narrow corridors, past rows of parked cars and maintenance equipment, always alert, always watching. Each shadow, each echo of movement, made them both tense. He felt the weight of the envelope in her hands through her subtle grip, a reminder of what they were protecting. And in that tense, suspended silence, a strange sense of understanding passed between them. Words were not needed. Their actions communicated everything necessary. Suddenly, a harsh light cut through one corner of the garage, a security camera activating, its red light blinking with mechanical precision. She flinched, stepping back slightly, and he instinctively stepped in front of her. "It's okay," he whispered, more to himself than to her. "I've got you." They moved on, silent but alert, hearts pounding in sync with the distant echo of footsteps above them. Every instinct screamed danger, but he refused to let fear paralyze him. He remembered all the times he had protected his daughter, all the times he had made impossible choices simply to ensure her safety. He could do this. He had to. Finally, they reached a narrow stairwell that led up to the street. She paused, hesitating, her hand brushing against his arm as if seeking reassurance. He nodded once, firmly, without words. Together, they ascended the steps, the faint glow of streetlights greeting them at the top like a promise of safety. The world outside the garage felt impossibly large, yet somehow manageable when he was there. Once on the street, she finally exhaled, a soft, almost imperceptible sigh that spoke of relief, exhaustion, and lingering fear. He looked at her, noticing every detail, the slight tremble of her hands, the tear glinting at the corner of her eye, the way her breaths came in uneven bursts. She was beautiful, undeniably, but more importantly, she was human, vulnerable, and in need of protection. "Thank you," she whispered finally, her voice still shaky. I don't even know your name." He shook his head, a small, tired smile forming on his lips. "It doesn't matter," he said. "What matters is that you're safe now." She looked at him, a mix of curiosity and gratitude flickering across her features. For a moment neither spoke. The city hummed around them, indifferent to their tiny, precarious world. But in that quiet, fleeting moment, something shifted. A connection, fragile but undeniable, formed between them, a bond forged in fear, trust, and the raw urgency of survival. And as she clutched the envelope tighter, he realized that this simple act, removing a jacket, stepping closer, choosing to act, had already changed everything. It had shifted the course of their lives in ways either of them could yet understand. The millionairess, accustomed to control and command, felt an unfamiliar sensation, dependence. And the single father, accustomed to quiet, predictable life, felt the thrill of purpose, the intensity of responsibility, and the undeniable pull of something he had never expected. The streets stretched ahead, empty yet full of potential. Each step forward was a step away from danger and a step toward the unknown. And though either of them knew what lay ahead, in that moment, wrapped in a borrowed jacket and a fragile sense of trust, they both knew one thing with absolute clarity: life, in its most unpredictable and exhilarating form, had just begun to rewrite itself.